Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So, I'm very excited to be showing you this build today. This is one of my favorite builds in the game, period, and it's a mix of a bunch of different builds that I really like as well. So, getting right into this, I just want to say that you will need the Edge of Action if you want to actually use this build to its full potential. But the exotic armor that you choose to use is completely up to you. I have chosen Hoarfrost-Z because I really like this exotic, and it works very well with the way I want to use Behemoth for this build. But yeah, you could use whatever you want. A common misconception is that Synthoceps will work with the Behemoth super. It actually doesn't. Behemoth doesn't get buffed by Synthoceps anymore. The crystals that you destroy don't get buffed by Synthoceps. So that means you can theoretically use whatever exotic you want with this build. So I've decided to use Hoarfrost-Z. So what the build will achieve is pretty much we're just going to be deleting everything with Edge of Action and Behemoth. Basically, you put down a little bubble and then you pop your super and you'll just destroy the crystals inside the bubble with your super every time you create more crystals. And that means that you can do some pretty hefty DPS, as you saw in the clip at the start of the video. And yeah, it's really awesome, really fun, and that's pretty much how this build is going to work. Everything else is kind of just my twist on it, like having a headstone weapon alongside that, and having Hoarfrost-Z to get more crystals for more grenades and stuff. But yeah, all of that's kind of optional. The weapons are optional. You just need Edge of Action, and you need the Behemoth super. That's all that really matters for this. Okay, so Edge of Action, pretty much what this does is it is going to create a mini bubble with this perk right here. A little mini bubble that acts like a ward of dawn. It gives you a void overshield for 10 seconds. It will work with stuff like Helm of St. 14, so if you want to use that in this build, you can. Despite being on Behemoth, Helm of St. 14 will still work with this, so you can blind things that go inside it, like bosses or champions or just any regular enemy who decides they want to run into that bubble. You can do that, and of course the Blessing of Light aspect of that will also work, so walking out of the bubble will give you a better shield. So yeah, that's that. There's nothing else going for this glaive outside of that. Of course, my crafted things are just whatever I want them to be. If you want to copy this, you can. But yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to be using it for. The Behemoth Glacial Quake crystals will get stuck inside that mini bubble and instantly explode, as you saw in the first clip, so yeah, that is pretty much all this glaive is for. I'm just going to quickly show you the actual gameplay loop of how the DPS strat works, and then we'll get into this build. So, the DPS loop. Very, very straightforward. As mentioned in the last clip, pretty much you just want your shield maxed out on the glaive, and you also want your super, obviously. And then, let's imagine this is the boss. You want to activate your shield, pop it on the boss. Then you want to activate your Behemoth inside the bubble and just start slamming. Now, as you can see here, all of the crystals are just automatically exploding, which does tons and tons of damage very, very quickly, and you'll pretty much delete anything. Now, solo, this obviously pops off incredibly, but with 3 people doing that, you will just decimate everything. I'm talking Riven, 6 people doing that against Riven will just delete the health bar. I don't have 6 people to actually show that off with, but there are videos of that out there if you want to see that. You literally just look it up and you'll find that instantly. There are ways to delete dungeon bosses with that, with multiple people. All sorts of stuff. It's really crazy. It does tons and tons of damage, and it's just that simple. You just put down a bubble, and you pop your super, and just click one button over and over, and things die. It's awesome. Very fun. And that is how you do it. So let's get into the build. Getting into the actual Behemoth subclass, how I've got it set up. This is kind of customizable. You can use pretty much whatever you want, actually. But this is just how I've got it set up. If you want to copy this, you can. Otherwise, I'll give you some more options that you can use as well. So, the barricade doesn't actually matter because we've got Hoarfrost-Z in my case. But otherwise, I would recommend Rally Barricade because it gives you better buffs. If you want to have a bit more survivability, however, you can use Towering Barricade, that's up to you. But I've got Rally Barricade in case I want to take off Hoarfrost-Z. But of course, with Hoarfrost-Z, I get the special Ice Crystal Barricade. Then for my grenade, I've got Glacial because they do tons of damage. They also help a little bit with bonus DPS with the Behemoth and Edge of Action strat. And I also have a way of getting grenades back super fast, and they're just really nice because they actually make Stasis Shards, which you'll see here, with Tectonic Harvest. Basically, shattering a Stasis Crystal will give me a Stasis Shard, so of course this is a Stasis Crystal, so I'll get Stasis Shards every time I pop one. I also have Diamond Lance for the Fragment slots. That's pretty much it. I don't really use Diamond Lance for Diamond Lance. I know it is a free freeze, it's very strong, but I mean, it's just like kind of there. I just have it for the Fragments. Of course, as mentioned before, I do have Headstone, so I can just pop something in the head. That will create a crystal as well, which will also give me shards. I have Whisper of Rending to make it so that my Eyasluna will one-shot those crystals. And then I also have Whisper of Fissures so that the crystals do more damage when I destroy them. And also if I freeze something with the crystal, I'll be able to do more damage to that as well when they explode. And the AoE is going to be bigger from that too. So we've already got lots of things synergizing with each other. We've got, you know, Eyasluna. We also have Hoarfrost stasis crystals as well to chain with all of that, which is really nice. Then I have Whisper Endurance, which is going to make slow last longer. Sometimes you will slow things with Hoarfrost-Z. Hoarfrost-Z actually does slow. You can see here, slows nearby enemies. So that'll make that last longer. Give me enough time to destroy the crystals to, you know, kill those enemies that are nearby. And then I also have Whisper of Shards, which is going to give me back more Stasis Crystals when I destroy Stasis Crystals, because it gives you a big bump to your grenade recharge. I also have 100 Discipline to help that too. And then I have Whisper of Conduction, which is going to make those Stasis Shards that we're creating by destroying the crystals actually track to me, so I don't have to go out of my way to find them. I can just destroy a crystal and then the shard will fly to me. So yeah, the whole build already just synergizes with itself. Of course, the Behemoth Super will create crystals as well, which means that those crystals will also help all of this. And it's awesome, really. Also, the Stasis Shards will give me melee energy. Not that that's really relevant. The melee is kind of an afterthought in this build, but I do really like the movement that it gives, and it's quite powerful too, and it also slows, so that's pretty nice. So yeah, that's how the subclass is going to chain together. I do have 100 resilience to get those barricades back faster for more crystals, 100 discipline for more crystals, and 100 strength to basically just enjoy the movement with Behemoth. That's pretty much it. That's the only reason why I have that. Oh, actually, I should mention that instead of Whisper of Rending, you can use Whisper of Bonds, or you could use Whisper of Chains if you like having a bit more DR with your Glacial nades. But otherwise, I would recommend just having everything else that you see in here. You could probably take out Whisper Endurance and throw in something like this, or maybe even Whisper of Hedrons, or again, Whisper of Chains. It is up to you. You can use whatever you want. Honestly, you could swap out one of these and get the Overshields with the Stasis Shards. That is completely up to you as well. There's a lot of customization. So, the mods. First off, I do recommend definitely having Font of Wisdom, sorry. The reason why I have this in here as well is because I don't have 100 intellect, but this automatically puts me at 100 intellect. And because I have elemental shards that you can see down here, the stasis shards that I am creating constantly will activate Font of Wisdom, because the stasis shards now count as stasis wells. So because I'm activating Font of Wisdom almost permanently, it means that I almost permanently have 100 intellect paired with the other hundreds that I have. It means I can get my super back really fast and then pop the Edge of Action strat with Behemoth, which is really cool. And it means I don't have to actually waste other stats to spec into intellect. I can just use a mod slot and do that. Then I also have Radiant Light for stats. It's just for strength. You don't have to have this if you don't want to spec into strength. Put whatever you want in there. Then I have Well of Restoration to get all of my abilities back faster, so getting the Barricade and getting the Grenade, because you see what happens is when I pop my Barricade or my Grenade and I shoot the crystal, I get a shard, the shard comes to me, it counts as a well, and it activates Well of Restoration, which is going to get me those abilities back even faster, which is really awesome. Again, you don't have to have this, it's just because most of my gear is stasis, as you can see, because I'm actually using all of this gear for another build, and I don't want to change the elements, so I'm kind of limited to just stasis stuff. So Yeah, you can use like Explosive Wellmaker with Well of Life, since the Stasis crystals will count as explosive damage when you destroy them. So you can use that, or you can just copy what I've got here, and that'll work fine with chaining infinite abilities as well. And then finally I have Radiant Orbs, which is going to buff the damage of the crystal that is made from Headstone. It is also going to buff all of my weapons, so Storm Chaser can do 25% more damage even on Stasis. This will do 25% more damage, this will do 25% more damage base, as well as the crystal that gets created from it. But of course, most of your DPS is going to come from the actual Behemoth Super itself. So you could swap this out if you wanted to as well. Anything really goes. You could throw in Font of Might if you just want to buff the Eyasluna as well by itself, but then again, I just recommend having Radiant Orbs until this disappears, because it basically does what this does, but it works for everything, so it's up to you. But yeah, everything else is just kind of to help the Glaive, since the Glaive is the most important part of the build. Of course, I do have resistances, so I can stay alive longer. And yeah, that's pretty much the entire build. Very, very straightforward. Lots of customization, however, and of course, everything rides on having Glaive ammo and having the Glaive shield, the little bubble, and then you just pop your super and go crazy. That's pretty much the build. Everything else is just kind of like whatever you want it to be. I have Hoarfrost and Eyasluna personally to just chain crystals and enjoy the perks of Behemoth just decimating everything, but if you don't want to go down that path and you want something a bit more free, then you can certainly do that. So yeah, that's the build. Let me know what you think. Of course, I'm just going to have a bit of gameplay at the end showing off different parts of the build, not just the super in the bubble aspect of it. I will show like more ad clear potential and whatnot. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. Adios.